the Roman Catholic Church that we begin to see something of the first prosperity preachers. Authorized by the Pope, you would have men coming in, salesmen of indulgences for building projects, going from region to region with an entourage, a band, and then a herald, a preacher who would sell you indulgences. These men would come into these regions and they would be pitching their guilt-producing messages and the punchline at the close of their message to obtain more money for Rome. And this is what their messages consisted of. And now I'm going to quote verbatim part of the message of Johann Tetzel. Johann Tetzel was one of the most famous salesmen for Rome and the indulgences. And this is part of his message. At the end of his message, this is what he says. He says, "Listen now," when he would go in as a town crier in the midst of the people to give them the message from Rome with his entourage, everyone gathering around. He would say, "Listen now, God and Peter call you. Consider the salvation of your souls and those of your loved ones departed. Listen to the voices of your dear dead relatives and friends beseeching you and saying, 'Pity us, pity us. We are in dire torment from which you can redeem us for a very small amount. Do you not wish to? Open your ears. Hear the father saying to his son, the mother to her daughter, we bore you, we nourished you, we brought you up, left you our fortunes, and you are so cruel and hard now that you are not willing for so little to set us free? Will you let us lie here in flames? Will you delay the promised glory of being released from purgatory and going to heaven?" And then once they had reeled you in, it was the final moment. Once they had baited you and you had bitten and they had driven you in, this is sincerely manipulation at its finest. After they had bound your conscience, they would bring you to the ultimate test of whether or not you were contrite over your sins, because if you were, you would give. If you were, you would give, and then came the punchline. When the coin in the coffer rings, when they promised everyone who was listening, when the coin in the coffer rings, the soul from purgatory springs. You can set them free today. Just throw your money in the can. Or place your penny on the drum. The pearly gates will open and in strolls Mum. They would bait you into giving by the incentivizing you on letting your father and mother who are lying in flames to redeem them from the punishment they are under. Isn't that amazing? And so we can see how so many people were duped into believing that they could participate with God in the forgiveness and redemption of others. They were duped into believing that they could participate with God in the redemption or in the forgiveness of others. And we can see how you can almost envision the guilt-based transaction and the works-based bondage that really everything sits on as its foundation. You can see why so many consciences were troubled and why so many lived with despair, because they lived within a religious system that sent them inward, that told them it depends on you. It depends on you. And it made them look to themselves and their works for success and peace with God. And it guilted them to believe that that it was their duty to redeem and that they could aid in the forgiveness of others in purgatory. And it's no wonder that Luther was ready for war. As a religious system, Roman Catholicism isn't a religion where Christ is someone you peacefully enjoy communion with from the standpoint of being eternally secure and completely justified, not when your justification is based on faith plus what you contribute. And not when your acceptance with God is based on Christ's works plus yours. And don't you say otherwise, or else you're anathema.